G'day. My name's Nathan Lindsell, and welcome to episode number 47 of The Fine Art of Distraction. So, on today's episode, I've actually decided to do another resin project because I've been waiting for this little mold to come in for such a long time that I have to actually play with it. So, But before I start telling you about what I'm going to be doing, I have to show you the dry result of last week because it turned out way cool. How awesome is this? Check out this bad boy. So the Cupid itself is almost like the size of a real baby. Almost like a toddler. But how wicked cool is this? Now I'm not too sure if the reflection from the light is actually getting in the way. But how wicked cool is this? Hello. I'm so happy with how this turned out. I do wish that the wings turned out a little bit better than they did, even though everyone says that it looks perfect and all that sort of stuff. My back was hurting so much that I sped it up way too much. Like I sped myself up way too much that it wasn't how I was hoping it actually went. But I'm still happy. I'm still actually really happy with how this whole project turned out. So, Alrighty, so a while back, probably about almost 2.5 months back, I was actually watching an artist by the name of Julie Cutts launch one of her brand new products, which is a resin mold. I'm not going to tell you just yet what it is because I want to actually show it to you when I'm doing the actual what products I'm actually using. All I can tell at this stage is that I'm absolutely so excited to actually use it for the very first time because it's almost been 2.5 months since I actually ordered it because it was a pre-order scenario. When she launched it, it actually wasn't in production yet. She was actually using the prototype. So, So enough of me blubbering on here. I'm sure you want to know exactly what I'm going to be doing. But I will say that, yes, this is a resin video, but it's not a resin tutorial video. I'm going to speed all the way through the mixing and all that sort of jazz. If you do want to watch a tutorial on resin, I do have other resin tutorials on my channel. I will link a couple of them in the description box. But in a couple of months' time, I'll actually do like a full-on proper resin tutorial literally from start to finish, and that video might take quite a long time because there is a lot to cover. But enough of me blubbering on, as I said. I'll head over to the table, I'll show you what products I'm going to be using, and then let's get going. Thanks, guys. Alrighty then, so here's all the products we're going to be using today. And look, there's the resin. Yee-hoo! I can't wait to play with the resin. Another thing that I absolutely can't wait to play with is this bad boy here. Check out this. Now, if you can't pick what this is just yet, I'll tell you. It's actually a dragon mold. And the detail that's in this thing is absolutely insanely awesome. It's out of this world. Now, when I saw Julie Cutts from Pouring Your Heart Out launch this, I was like, oh my God, I gotta get me one of them. So Julie actually designed this. I believe she teamed up with some 3D artists to help her design it. But yeah, so this is her own design. and I'm absolutely stoked to actually own one. I mean, it only took like 9 weeks to come in, but but that was because it was a pre-order situation. I'm sure if you put an order through now, you would get it within about 2 weeks at the most, I would say. Okay, so another product that I'm absolutely hanging to play with, well, there's actually 3. It's these little bad boys here. You! These are called Stuck Up Pigs. How cool is that name? So basically, these are actually a color shift chameleon pigment. Now, I'm not too sure if you can actually see the color shift through the bottle or not. But yeah, so these are actually from the same company that does this little piggy, and that company is called Fluid Art Co. So the colors that we're going to be using today with the Stuck Up Pigs, we've got Pretentious, Pompous, and Boastful. And from this little piggy, my favourite this little piggy product, Grenache. You! So basically what I've decided to do is, with the Grenache, I'm going to do the dragon's head, the feet, and the point of the actual tail, and also the very center spikes all the way down the middle of his body. And with the flat bit of the wings, I'm going to do that in Boastful. With the framework of the wings, like the skeleton part of the wings, I'm going to do that in Pompous. And for the rest of his body, like where all the scales are, I'm going to do that in Pretentious. So I'm also going to colour the resin with the Grenache. So basically, the reason why I'm going to be doing that is because basically these spikes on his head, they look like they're going to be quite difficult to get with a brush. So if I colour the resin with the Grenache, basically that's going to get any bits that I miss. Because I will be applying these pigments with these brushes here, so I'm just going to brush it on. And the resin that we're going to be using today is actually from Barnes, and it's called Megapore Epoxy Deep Casting System. Now, it's a 2-to-1 ratio, so that's 2 parts part A and 1 part B. And basically, you actually measure this by weight. A lot of other resins measure by volume, but this is actually measured by weight. Now, there's 2 reasons why I've opted for the deep casting system resin. First reason is because of the depth of the actual mold itself. So generally, your standard resin will only allow you to pour up to a depth of about 2 centimeters. If you pour anything higher than 2 centimeters, or anything deeper than 2 centimeters, I should say, you actually run the risk of the exothermic reaction sort of happening too fast, and basically you get a flash cure, and you run the risk of having cracks all through your product. With the deep casting resin, it's actually got a much longer work time and also a much longer cure and set time. So basically that exothermic reaction is going to happen a lot slower, and so that bond is going to happen a lot slower. So therefore you can basically pour up to a depth of about 2 inches rather than 2 centimeters. The second reason why I'm opting for the deep casting resin is for the same reason almost, because of the exothermic reaction being a lot slower. So the work time and the cure/set time is actually much longer. So that's going to allow the bubbles inside the resin to release on its own over that time. So I won't need to use a blowtorch. If by chance you're using a silicone mold and you have to use a blowtorch, make sure you turn the flame right down to almost the same as like a lighter. But really, you shouldn't use a flame on a silicon mold. Again, if you have to, make sure you turn the flame down. But you're better off spraying it with isopropyl alcohol to get rid of any bubbles. That's if you're using a much faster reacting resin. But for that reason, that's why I've actually opted for the deep casting, because it's actually got a much longer work time, so the bubbles will release on its own. All right, guys, now that I've told you what products we're going to need, I'll clear off all of this, then yeah, we'll start going. Thanks, guys.
Alrighty guys, I just have to quickly say that I was absolutely so excited to actually use this mold that as soon as I picked it up from the post office, as soon as I walked in the door, I actually started filming straight away. And it wasn't until I actually cleared off the table from doing the products needed that I realized that I didn't have my respirator on the table. So I definitely do use my respirator throughout this whole video. That's why I will be doing a lot of voiceovers throughout this video. But I do apologize that my respirator wasn't on the screen to show what products are needed to do this actual project. You definitely do need to use a respirator while working with resin and also working with pigments, especially dusting pigments onto a resin mold. You definitely don't want to be breathing in this stuff. So yeah, once again, I apologize that I didn't have it on the screen, but I can assure you I definitely did use it throughout this whole process. Thanks, guys. Okay, so now I'm just applying the red Grenache to the spikes on the dragon's back, and I'll also apply it to the feet, the point on the tail, and also while I was actually doing this part, I decided to not do the dragon's head in Grenache, but I do his horns in Grenache, and I think it actually turned out really, really good. You will notice also here that it looks like I've spilt a lot of it. Well, I actually didn't spill a lot at all. It was actually the static electricity charge within the silicon mold that was actually picking up all of the loose pigments and actually applying it to the mold. You can get rid of it by sort of using like a wet paper towel or like a baby wipe or something like that. Basically what I did, I actually just sprayed some isopropyl alcohol on a paper towel and then wiped it off. The reason why you can do it at this stage is because I'm actually doing all of the low points of the mold. So basically when I wipe over the top of it with the actual paper towel, because what I've actually done is lower than the surface, that will actually all still stay. You'll notice exactly what I'm talking about as soon as I get the the paper towel out, and here I go here. So I'm just giving it a good spray, and then we're just wiping it away. And so you'll notice that all of the loose pigments are sort of moving away, but leaving the darker bit down because it's actually lower than the point that I'm wiping. Pretty cool, eh? And because I am going to be colouring these other sections with other colours, I do want to make sure that I do get rid of all of that Grenache in the places that I don't want it on the dragon. Okay, so what I'm doing here, I'm actually coming off the feet just a little bit, just so it gives a bit of a blend effect from the actual feet to the rest of the body. That's the only reason why I sort of come off those feet just a little bit, and it actually turns out really, really good. Well, I think it does anyway. Okay, so now I'm actually applying the Pompous Colour Shift Chameleon to the actual framework of the actual dragon wings. And the reason why I chose Pompous is because basically the colour shift that it has almost like a black to red to sort of orangey gold colour shift to it. And I thought, because I've done the feet in Grenache, I figured that sort of color shift from the black to the red would look really cool up against the feet and the sort of the spikes and all that sort of stuff. And I'll tell you what, it looks awesome. You. Okay, so now that I've actually got all of the pompous down, I'm just going to give the mould a good clean again. And the same rule applies because I've actually applied to points that are lower than the point that I'm actually wiping down. It will actually stay on the mould, as you can see here. Already, this thing is looking awesome. I'm so happy with how this is turning out so far. And I'll tell you what, guys, you got to give it a try. It is so much fun. Okay, so now I'm actually going to do the wings in the colour Boastful. And check out the colour shift in this. How intense is that? Look at that emerald green to indigo blue colour shift. That is out of this world. Whoa! I'll tell you what, I think this is definitely my new favourite colour. It's a shame it's so expensive, but gosh, it's so pretty. Now, when I was watching one of Julie's videos when she was colouring her dragon, I noticed that this dragon actually had little frilly bits behind its neck. So I thought, hey, the wings are in the colour Boastful, so I might do the frilly bits in Boastful too. And I'll tell you what, guys, it worked so good. You! Okay, so I'm just giving it a quick clean before I apply the colour called Pretentious, just to make sure that I get rid of all of the other colours from the actual mould itself, so I don't have any excess sort of colour bleeding where I don't want it. Okay, so here I go with the colour Pretentious, and oh my golly gosh, check out that colour shift already, from that amazing purple to that sort of aqua sort of greeny sort of blue colour. This is intense! How amazing are these new SUPs from Fluid Art Co? Wow! Alright guys, what do you guys think so far? I tell you what, I'm absolutely blown away with how awesome this is looking. So at this stage, all I'm doing is just giving it one final sort of cleanup to get rid of any of the excess sort of pigments. I mean, it doesn't really matter because it's on the top of the silicone mold, but I just wanted it to be looking a little bit tidier, literally just for the video. So you don't have to do this final clean, but it's good practice to do that. Okay, so now it's actually time to actually start mixing the resin, and this resin is a 2-to-1 ratio mixture, and basically what I'm doing here is I'm mixing it until the resin goes clear. Basically you'll see that it's cloudy, and then towards the end it'll actually start to go clear, and just keep going for a little bit longer until it's completely clear. And I didn't realize at this point, but I did the biggest rookie error ever. I actually mixed up double the amount of resin that was needed. And I hate wasting resin because it's so expensive. Okay, so I actually want you to have a look at the resin at the moment. So check out the movement in it. So what's actually happening here is the resin is actually having its chemical reaction. So basically, part A and part B are forming resin. So they're fighting against each other, and because they're fighting against each other, they're causing a lot of friction, and then that friction actually causes heat. And as you know, when working with resin heats up, and it's because of that chemical reaction. And when it actually starts to heat up, that's when you actually know it's a good time to pour. Okay, so what I'm actually doing here is basically I'm just pulling the mold apart just a little bit, basically to sort of help guide the resin into any of the spots that it might have missed. Because it does have a lot of like little spikes and all that sort of jazz, there is a chance that the resin might not make it into those spots. So by pulling it apart a little bit, basically it stretches the silicone mold a little bit and allows that resin to go into those spots that it may have missed. If it's a smooth mold, you don't need to do that. Okay, because I have so much resin left over, I basically just decided to grab a few of my little molds that I have and just sort of use up the resin. I hate wasting resin, so it's always a good idea to have a lot of sort of molds on hand to basically fill them up if you've got any excess resin. And oh my golly gosh, I had so much resin left over. Biggest rookie error ever. Shh, don't tell anyone.
Alrighty then, so now that we've actually poured it, you can see actually how much extra resin I poured. Oh my golly gosh. That was such a rookie error. I was just so excited to play with it that I forgot to measure the dragon mold first. And how do you measure that, do you ask? Well, basically it's easy. You just get water in a measuring jug and basically pour it into the dragon and take the measurements that way. That's the easiest way to sort of measure how much resin you're going to need to do a resin mold. And as you can see, I mixed way too much resin. It's such a waste of money. I hate wasting money. Especially, I hate wasting resin because it's so expensive. Alright guys, now that I've got it poured, I'm going to let that sit for 2 full days, just so basically it actually has a really good chance to set and cure. And then, yeah, we'll come back in a couple of days to reveal it. I mean, it'll be 2 seconds for you, but it'll be 2 days for me. Thanks, guys. Alrighty then, so we're back and it's 2 days later, and I tell you what, I am so excited to pull this thing out of its mold. Alrighty, so I will take out all of these out of its molds, but I actually really want to do this dragon first, because obviously all of these molds on the side, they were because I mixed too much resin pour. So we'll put all of these to the side. So that's actually the little vase. Then we've got a heart. Then this will be like a little jewelry box thing. And that will also be like a little jewelry box as well. And then this is actually a little paw print. Alrighty, and now the dragon! We had a little bit of a spill. So if you notice just here, I'm going to have to cut that little bit out so it's the same as that, just because it overflowed a little bit. And it overflowed a little bit just here as well. And just there on its tail. I don't think it really did it anywhere else. Alrighty, let's rip it out. Now, after watching Julie pull hers out, she actually had a lot of trouble sort of pulling hers out. So I'm guessing that this is also going to cause me a lot of problems as well, just because it's so finicky. Alrighty. Now I can already see that it looks awesome. Alright, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Check out that! Are you kidding me? Yahoo! This is wicked cool! Oh my golly gosh! Would you check out this thing? This is sick! Wow! This is so cool! And I'm so glad that that center bit is just red on its own. The wings are separate. The actual, the framework is separate. The wing is separate. The body is separate. The feet are separate. The horns are separate. This is sick! The only thing that I've just noticed, the tips of the horns, they must be still in there. Yeah, they are. Like, because that's really deep in there. I think the only way I'm going to get those tips out is actually pouring another one, and then the very tip of the horn is going to be red on the next one, which I don't mind at all. But how wicked cool is this? I am doing the happy dance. I'm doing the happy dance. Oh, this is so cool. Look at the chameleon, like the color shift on that. This is so cool. And on the body. But check out the detail in the dragon's head. I tell you what, guys, I am super stoked! Yahoo! Woo! La 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 woo! La 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 woo! That is wicked cool. All right, so I'll quickly just rip out all of these, just so you can see what these are. So we've got like a 3D heart, which that looked wicked cool. It almost looks like you could take a bite out of it. Here's the paw print. And how awesome is Grenache as a colour? Oh, wow! I wasn't expecting it to be like sort of like diamond-y sort of paw print. That's awesome! I had no idea it was like that. That's cool. And then we've got the lid of the jewelry box. Oh, that looks wicked. That looks like a ruby. And then that's cool. I love Grenache so much. And then that just sort of fits in there nice and snug. And then we've got this coffin-shaped jewelry box. That's so cool. There was a little bubble. Bugger. One little bubble. And then we've got the vase. Oh, wow. This is tight. That looks so cool. Cool. Put that in there. Alrighty guys, I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you all so much for joining me on this episode. I tell you what, I had so much fun because I'm absolutely blown away how awesome this thing turned out. You! If you think I'm deserving of your like, please hit the like button. I'd love to see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of likes for this because I tell you what, I love this thing. You! And if you're not yet subscribed and you feel like subscribing to my channel, please hit the subscribe button, then hit the little dark bell. That'll actually indicate when I upload new videos. And if you think any of your friends or family might like to see how I created this awesome dragon, please forward it on to them. I'd love for them to have a look at it as well. Alright guys, one more time, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. This is the fine art of distraction.